Hey y'all, happy Sunday, August the 16th. I'm Sean Reddy of the Keller Williams Reddy Group, here with my chief economist, Everett Reddy. Yeah, that's right. Also of the Keller Williams Reddy Group. And we're bringing you our weekly look at how the Tampa Bay real estate market is reacting to COVID and the lockdown from the second quarter. Again, talking about this extreme seller's market that we're in, where the demand is far outweighing the supply. Actually, we got the July stats sent to us a few days back, and it showed us that the trends continue in that direction. So right now in Tampa Bay, there's only 1.4 months supply on the market, meaning given the current sales pace, without anything new hitting the market, it would only take a month and a half for everything to sell out. That is craziness, especially considering we need 5 to 6 months of supply to have a balanced market. Anything beyond that is a buyer's market. So again, extreme seller's market, the most extreme seller's market that we've seen in history. We did not see the trends continue with new listings outpacing new contracts like we did last week. Excuse me, we saw new listings up 10% last week. We also saw new contracts up 11%. So we did go back to rising contracts. There were 1,490 home sales in between Hillsborough and Pinellas counties last week. Okay, so what's going to break this? Well, we know we need to see either A, an increase in supply, or B, a decrease in demand, or C, a combination of the two, or both of them happening, for that to happen. So on the demand side, we're essentially seeing what would normally be our spring market as far as demand, pushed back a couple of months because of the lockdown in March, April, May. On the supply side, this isn't anything necessarily COVID related, although some of it is. We saw a decade of lost construction essentially. When the recession hit, builders got out of the business, didn't build homes nearly as fast as they would during normal times. Hi, buddy. Where we normally see 1 million housing starts annually in the U.S., we saw about 500,000 for a period of a decade. So we're missing a lot of homes from that. We're playing catch up market wide from that. Combine that with the lockdown from COVID and the would-be sellers who are uncomfortable listing their homes in this environment. That's why we're dealing, and of course the demand side, that's why we're dealing with this extreme seller's market. So again, what's going to break it is a rise in supply, a decrease in demand, or a combination of the three. What's going to cause supply to rise? First and foremost, more people hearing about the market conditions. Hi. Those would-be sellers hearing that, hey, now is the time to be a seller, like the best time in history to be a seller. So the more people hear about that, they're going to say, okay, I'm going to sell my home and take advantage of today's interest rates, go get a bigger home for what could be the same monthly payment, or I'm going to sell my home assuming it's, at the peak or near the peak, and maybe I go rent for a few years. I mean, if you could do that back in 2006, a lot of us would have. So that will cause an increase in supply. However, that's more of a, one-by-one basis. What else might cause an increase in supply? Well, building, of course, yet, again, it's hard for builders with such a lag time start to finish, months, years between acquiring land and having a finished product. That's not going to really help the market catch up either. So the third factor that we've talked about that will increase supply at a bigger scale is going to be forced sales that we're going to see as a result of COVID and lockdown and all that. With, still, 20-some million, 30 million people unemployed or underemployed right now. And forbearance agreements coming to an end. If it's a 6-month forbearance agreement that started in March, it's coming to an end next month. So we're going to see some forced sales because of that. Not necessarily the foreclosures and short sales that we saw in the last recession because there's so much more equity now. We'll just see, your forbearance agreement comes to an end and your mortgage servicer says, hey, give us 6 months and now 7 months worth of payments right now. Well, most people aren't in a cash position to do that, so they'll just sell. They'll take their equity and they'll go on. They'll buy another house or they'll rent. So that's likely going to be the factor that increases our supply the fastest. So when that happens, not if, when that happens, that may be enough to tip the scales back into the balanced market territory, or perhaps even, we might see a buyer's market given the economic landscape and all the headwinds that our economy faces, we could actually flip the script here and see a buyer's market in the next 6 to 12 months, or maybe even sooner. So stay tuned. We're going to keep looking at the stats day by day, the leading metrics of the real estate market, reporting back to you. Obviously, Everett's got a lot to say about this topic today, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.